Hello everyone, I am Saurabh and I welcome you back to the digital board series by Orchids Biosciences. This is the fifth video of the first chapter, that is life processes. If you haven't watched the previous videos yet, I've provided its link in the description below, so please go and check it. In this video, we will continue the third life process, that is transportation. The topics we will cover are transportation in plants, in which we will discuss the transportation of water and minerals using two theories, root pressure theory and transpiration pull theory. And finally, we will discuss the transportation of food in plants called as translocation. So let's start with transportation in plants. We have seen in the previous videos that for the process of photosynthesis, the plants take in carbon dioxide through the stomata, and for the water they take it from the soil through the roots. The soil not only has water but also various other important substances. They contain minerals like nitrogen and phosphorus. So these are also present in soil and is taken up by the roots of the plant. So there has to be a transport mechanism which transport this water and minerals to the required parts of the plant, and again the food which is prepared by photosynthesis has to be transported to all the parts which require it. In plants there are no movements. There are also a huge proportion of dead cells which are present in plant, due to which the energy requirement for the plants are comparatively lower than that of other organisms. So for plants the transport system can be slow, and they have a slow transport system when compared to other organisms. The transport system of plants are made up of xylem and phloem. The xylem is responsible for the transportation of water and minerals, whereas the phloem tissue is responsible for the transport of food materials which are produced as a result of photosynthesis. In the xylem, the movement of water and minerals is always in the upward direction, and it is always unidirectional. And the tubes which perform this function of taking the water from the soil and giving to the other parts of the plant will be the xylem vessels and the tracheids. Whereas in phloem, the tube is the sieve tube, which is responsible for the transportation of food materials to all the parts of the plant, and the companion cells will be assisting them. The food materials have to be transported to all the parts of the plant. So in phloem, inside the sieve tubes, the transport of food is bidirectional. So in case of xylem, it is unidirectional, that is only upward movement of water. But in case of phloem, what happens is the food has to be transported to all the parts. That is why the movement of food materials inside this phloem is bidirectional, that is both upward and downward direction. Now let us discuss how the water is transported in the plant, and also how the food which is produced in the leaf is transported to various parts of the plant. First, let us start with the transportation of water. For transportation of water, we will study two theories. First one is root pressure theory, and second one is transpirational pull. Let us first start with root pressure theory. We know that in the soil there will be water and minerals which are present as ions. And even inside the roots there will be water and ions. So first, by spending energy, that is by active transport. Active transport is a type of transport in which the plants spend energy to take up any substance or to move any substance. So by using energy, what the plants will do is they will take up these ions. So these ions will move into the roots of the plant. So when the ions move into the roots of the plant, the concentration of ions in the roots will increase, due to which the concentration of water present in the roots will decrease. So that will create a difference in the concentration of water outside the root, that is in the soil, and that inside the root. So now the concentration of water in the root will become less. So due to this difference in the concentration of water, the water from the higher concentration, that is outside the root, will move into the region which is having low concentration of water, that is inside the root. So we can see there is a slow and steady movement of water inside the roots, and this will continue further. The root pressure theory itself is not enough for the process of transportation of water. So to assist it, there will be another process that is called as transpiration. Transpiration is the process by which plants lose water in the form of vapor. So during the day when sun is there, what happens is through the leaves, the stomata release the water in the form of vapor through them. So when there is the loss of water vapor from the aerial parts of the plant, let us see what happens. There will be various cells from the top to the bottom. There will be more cells, but just to understand, I'm making some. So what happens is the water in the form of vapor will be lost from the stomata of the leaves. So from the uppermost cell, the water is lost. Now this water which is lost from the cell will be again replaced with the water which is present in the cell below it. Then this cell becomes empty, and then from this cell water enters into the above cell. So from the cell which are below it, the water will enter into the cell which are above it, due to which there will be an upward movement of water in the plants. Transpiration pull can be seen in the day because it requires sun, whereas the root pressure theory is more prevalent during the night time because that time sun is absent. So during the day, transpiration pull is the force which creates the upward movement of water, whereas in night it is the root pressure. So now we know that the plants lose water through the process of transpiration. The water that is lost into the atmosphere, it will pull off the excess heat with it away from the plant. So this will reduce the overheating and cools down the leaves. So we can say transpiration is also responsible for regulating the temperature in plants. So that is how water is transported in plant. Now let us learn how the food that is produced as a result of photosynthesis is transported to various parts of the plant. For the transportation of food, there is a separate term which is given, and it is called as translocation, because the food is moved from one location to another location in the plant. And for the process of translocation, the tissues which are responsible are the phloem tissues. The phloem tissues will be carrying the food from the leaves to the various required parts of the plant. So now let us see how the food is transported or translocated in the plant. Let us imagine this to be a stem, and there is a leaf over here. This leaf will be producing the glucose as a result of photosynthesis. We know in the process of photosynthesis, plants will take in carbon dioxide and water in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll, and they will make the glucose. For the transport of glucose, glucose will be converted into sucrose, because sucrose is more energy efficient and is soluble in water. Now the sucrose will move into the phloem tissues. So in the stem there will be this phloem tissues, and this is xylem. So this is the xylem part and this is the phloem part. Sucrose by active transport will move into the phloem tissue now. So this phloem tissue is now filled with sucrose. So as the sucrose moves into the phloem tissues, the osmotic pressure here will increase, which will lead to the movement of water from the xylem into the phloem. So first what happens is the sucrose by active transport moves into the phloem tissues, due to which the osmotic pressure there will increase and will let the inflow of water from the xylem to the phloem. So in this region, if we see, there is an increase in the pressure and increase in the concentration, whereas in the region below it or above it there is lower concentration. So if in case there is a requirement in this part of the plant, what will happen is, as there is a lower concentration in this part of the plant when compared to the above part, the food from the higher concentration will automatically move towards the lower concentration. So this is how, by making a pressure difference, they move from the higher pressure to the lower pressure. So now the sucrose will come over here, and again after reaching this place, the sucrose will get converted to glucose and will be utilized by the cells in that place. So this is how the food is transported in plant. With that, we come to the end of the transportation in plants. Let us now once recall what we have seen in this video. We started with the transportation in plants, in which first we saw the transportation of water, and we studied two theories under that. First one was root pressure theory, in which by creating a difference in the concentration of water by taking up ions actively by the plant, they created a difference in the concentration, due to which the water entered into the roots and was taken up by the plant. Then we learned about the transpiration pull theory, in which due to the loss of the water from the aerial parts of the plant, there was an upward movement of water. Then we discussed about the movement of food in plants, and this process is called as translocation, because food is moved from one part of the plant to another. The movement of food is due to the phloem tissues, whereas the movement of water is due to the xylem tissues. So xylem is responsible for the movement of water and minerals, whereas phloem is responsible for the movement of food. The movement of water and minerals is unidirectional, whereas the movement of food by the phloem tissue is bidirectional, that is both in the upward direction and in the lower direction. Now let us discuss few questions from the previous years. The first question is from 2019 for 3 marks. They asked us to write what is transpiration and to list its two functions. So we can answer. We know that transpiration is a process of loss of water from the plant or evaporation of water from the plant as water vapors. So transpiration can be defined as a process of loss of water from the plant through the aerial paths. And when asked to list its two functions, we can write it is responsible for the upward movement of water and minerals, and the second function can be regulating the temperature of plant. Moving on to the next question, what is translocation, why is it essential for plants, and where do the substances in plant reach as a result of translocation? This was again a 3-mark question from 2019. What is translocation? We know that translocation is the movement of food from the leaves to various parts of the plant, or we can say movement of the photosynthetic product to the required parts of the plant. And why is it essential for plants? It is essential for plants because without it, the food which is prepared by the leaves cannot reach the other parts of the plant for their growth and development. So it is very important for the food which is prepared in the leaf to reach the various other parts of the plant. Coming to the second part of the question, where do the substances in plant reach as a result of translocation? Very simple answer. They reach all the required parts of the plant. So with this, we come to the end of transportation in plants as well. In the next video, we will discuss about the last life process, that is excretion. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you like this video, please hit the like button, share it with your friends, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel.